Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the panel Evolving Rules of Crypto and Blockchain. Very happy that you joined. So, I'm Raisa. I will be moderating today, and I don't see many familiar faces, but actually myself and my business partner, Branko, Rošović, and Fix, we were the co-organizers of the first Cryptica 2 years ago. So it was one-day event, then the Cryptica grew to two-day event last year, and today I'm very happy to be here and see that it's going on and growing. So this is super cool. And today we are going to speak about hot topic, not by nature, but by necessity. It's a hot topic about regulation in blockchain in crypto. For a very long time, cryptocurrency was actually almost a synonym of lack of regulations. But things are changing rapidly across the globe, and governments are doing everything they can in order to bring regulations into crypto assets. We are super lucky to have our panelists today, because these are the people who are on the forefront of the industry, who have a real experience, hands-on experience, and the whole panel today is going to be valuable also because we are going to have really insights from the experts in the field. Today with us we have Dr. Emilija Vukovic. Among hundreds of other things, and I can use like thousands of superlatives. She's also the president of Serbian Blockchain Initiative, and I think everyone knows her here in the region because I think your name is more or less like also synonym of blockchain and Web3 here in the region. So welcome, so Emilija. We have here with us Milos Pavlovic, who is the CTO at SED, also as pioneering and absolute leader in crypto here in the region. So welcome, Milos. And we have Milos Bosnjak, who is an awesome expert in NFTs and crypto, the analyst. And so welcome here. Thank you so much for coming. So let's get started. We don't have much time. And we will start with this bold statement, or maybe it isn't bold. Gary Gensler says that crypto is a wild west. So what do you think about it, this statement? Do you agree?
Let me... It is till January. Can you...
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for this lovely introduction of us, and I need to thank the organizer, Alexander, Alexa, Emilija, everybody I was in touch with for making this event happen. I also had the opportunity to be part of some of the roundtable discussions, and they were very good, so thank you once again. Yes, this statement actually is, in my opinion, a very bold statement. I think there is some similarities between the Web3 and the Wild West. High risk, high gain, but also you can get scammed, you can lose all of your money. There's a lot of pioneers in the field, a lot of innovators, but also there are a lot of greedy people who will do bad things and give you projects that don't have any real value. So maybe we can start with that. And about the regulation part, I would maybe just start with a thought that I always have when it's this kind of discussion, and it's we need to decide, is technology going to follow the regulation and compliance, or the regulation and compliance are going to follow the evolution of technology? Because now we are somewhere in between. And today you're going to hear our opinions, you will hear some practical knowledge from our business experience and some theoretical practices that are out there, but in the end of the day I would like to say it's all about what's going to happen in the real world. So it's good to be educated, and it's good to know what is written, but I think it's even more important to think about the purpose of it and how we're going to implement it into the real world.
Thank you. So Wild West or not?
Okay, since we are on data science conference, I'll stick with data. Now, according to latest research, total volume of transactions in cryptocurrencies that are connected with illicit activities for the last year was like something like 24 billion, which is 0.34% of total volumes in crypto. Now compare this with a report from United Nations Office for Crime and Drugs, which says that anti-money laundering volumes are 1.7 trillion, it brings us to the percentage of less than 1.5% of all money laundered came from crypto. So basically, I think that crypto is not our key problem with illicit activities there.
Thank you very much for your opinion, Milos.
Thank you. I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you to organizers for the invitation. Never in the history of human mind we had an industry like crypto. Industry which never sleeps and operates 24/7, 365. Because of these characteristics, this industry has been a magnet for bad actors, snake oil salesmen on one hand. On the other hand, because of the pace at which innovation was happening, and it's happening, regulators and general public are really slow to catch up. Hopefully, as we are getting closer to the mass adoption, and as public and regulators are getting educated, this industry will be less regarded as a Wild West.
Thank you very much. And as you have the mic with you, shall we go on and just have maybe a look at higher level, the overview of the landscape, regulatory landscape around the globe? If you can give us your view, thank you.
Depending on the region, regulatory landscapes varies. Some jurisdictions have taken the approach of consumer protection. In other words, you are not welcome to do business here, you are not welcome to innovate. Whereas others have taken approach of and embraced the innovation. In the United States, in the last decade, quite possibly have taken one of the harshest approach to this industry, where everything they done in the last decade made it so hard, practically impossible to innovate in this industry. However, I think this year crypto industry and crypto companies in the United States have learned their lesson. They started heavily lobbying, and as a result of it, next year we are going to have a pro-crypto president, pro-crypto Congress and Senate, and I believe we are going to see some more favorable regulatory landscape in the United States. When it comes to Europe, more or less what was happening in the United States was happening in Europe. Europe, unfortunately to say, I believe is out of touch when it comes to emerging technologies. Also worth mentioning maybe is China. Up until 2020, China had a very vibrant crypto community. Most of the miners and biggest crypto exchanges were operating from China. However, the government has decided practically to ban crypto because of this hostility towards this industry across the globe. Most of the crypto companies have moved to operate in Dubai and Singapore. Dubai and Singapore are currently the leading crypto hubs in the world. Not only have they got the most favorable regulatory landscape, they have truly embraced this industry. Also maybe worth mentioning is El Salvador, which is the first country in the world who has adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender.
Oh, thank you so much. Milos, considering the role of ACD plays also here on the local market, you know, you are really the pioneers, the disruptors in this industry. Could you just, what is happening here in terms of landscape in Serbia?
Yeah, it was really interesting to listen about pro-crypto governments and pro-crypto countries. In Serbia, we were one of the first countries where law on digital assets was adopted. But I would say that it is definitely not pro-crypto. Generally, we have two main laws that govern our operations. First one is introduced 2018, law on anti-money laundering and finance and terrorism financing, which actually prescribes, you know, KYC policies, monitoring of customers, KYT, and so on, which is more or less or absolutely the same like regulations for banks and for other financial institutions, so no more liberty in crypto. And second one is, as I mentioned, the law on digital assets, which came into force in 2021, which actually regulates the services that virtual assets service provider can offer, what are the rules, how you are licensed, and what is your regulatory body, and so on. So generally, I would say that in Serbia, environment is pretty much heavy regulated. The processes of, innovative things to get approved are not so easy. Yeah, this feels a little bit like we are not in the really innovative industry. But yeah, that's how we do.
Thank you very much. And Emilia, just passing the mic to you, because the Supercluster has an incredible mission here in Serbia, in the region, to bring Serbia on the forefront, to put it on the map when it comes to this Web3 and blockchain. So could you please just elaborate what is it that you are doing in order to help the development of the industry?
Thank you for that question. First of all, I'm not used to sitting on this chair not having a beer, so I will try to do best with my answers. For the ones that don't know about Supercluster, Supercluster was a product of Serbia Innovates project. So they did a big research and they developed 4 supercluster for gaming, agriculture, biotech, and Web3 and blockchain. And the one for the Web3 and blockchain was the chosen one as the one that has the biggest potential to move forward. So it was not my invention at all, but I am one of the people who were at the very beginning of it making. So one of the co-founders trying to do something that's a really hard task when you're trying to doing change management or change of a mindset about blockchain per se, and then separately about crypto. So the idea is with the supercluster to have the synergy of academia, entrepreneurs, and the government. And you know how well that goes. So every conversation that we had so far, we are moving a little bit in the right direction, but it's a long process. So anybody who's going to tell you it's something quick and something easy, it's not. We mentioned the law about digital assets, and it is a great movement to adoption of the blockchain and crypto. There are still a lot of regulatives that we need to showcase, and then we need to really look at and think about their purpose, as I said at the very beginning. But from my experience working abroad, so we mentioned also Dubai and Singapore, I work as a business consultant in the Middle East, mostly for the clients from high reliability industries like Aramco, Ministry of Education of Saudi Arabia, BAYAC, and similar. And when you're working with them, so those are the companies and some of the funds that I work with, they have a lot of opportunity for investments. But I need to be quite honest with you, even in that field, anybody knows, if somebody worked in the Middle East, I think they would agree with me. It's also not sunshine and rainbows. It's really easy to make an arrangement and negotiate something, but to make the deal happen and to take it all the way, it's a totally separate story. Then again, I'm a co-founder of a company in Singapore that's specialized in Web3 consulting, and we build our own products. And also in the Asian market, we will talk about that a little bit later, there are some cultural differences, and those jurisdiction, let's say, specialization, as we mentioned at the very beginning, that separates us. So here in Serbia, with the supercluster, we are actually trying to explain that there are really good uses of blockchain technology, for starters, and some projects that could be of national interest. And the idea is to start a pilot and to do something, and then from that trial and error, we will learn a lot, and we can start from there. So it's really good to have a strategy, it's really good to have a good management, but at the end of the day, I think execution is everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you. When it comes to the, let's say, regulatory supervisory bodies in financial industry overall, for the insurance, for the banks, for the traditional banks, it's quite clear. We know who they are, while for the blockchain and cryptocurrency, maybe it's a little bit fuzzy sometimes, who does what. So would you just kindly a little bit just elaborate on that at the global level?
The blockchain regulatory ecosystem is made up of national, regional, international bodies working to establish standards in this industry. I will start with the most infamous one, US Securities and Exchange Commission, led by none less than Gary Gensler, who by far has taken the most hostile approach to this industry. In United States, because of it, in the last 4 years, they've taken quite a few crypto companies to the courts and made it practically impossible to innovate. In the EU, every member state has its own regulatory body, but which follows closely the MiCA regulation, Markets in Crypto Assets EU regulation. MiCA is very much focused on regulating stablecoins and consumer protection. Also, it's worth mentioning, when it comes to regional one, I would say the Gulf Cooperation Council, seeing the success in the United Arab Emirates, nations from the Gulf region have been very open to blockchain and crypto technology. When it comes to international, I would mention Bank of International Settlement and the International Monetary Fund. They advise companies, actually countries, on blockchain technology and CBDC. CBDCs are central bank digital currencies. Also, I would really like to single out Dubai's VARA, in my opinion, one of the most forward-thinking regulatory organization in the world, known for its continuous engagement with the crypto community.
Thank you so much. Milos, considering that you have been working closely here with NBS, could you just elaborate on what is the current ecosystem?
Yeah. Well, as I was mentioning earlier about the laws, of course, the main regulatory bodies are Commission for Anti-Money Laundering. And in terms of law on digital assets, we have two regulatory bodies, Securities Commission and Central Bank of Serbia. Their jurisdiction is separated between virtual currencies and digital tokens. So if you want to play with Bitcoin, you fall under central bank. If you play with Ethereum, you fall under Securities Commission. So as I said earlier, more or less this is copy-pasted model from banking, from traditional finance here. What Milos mentioned, MiCA, this is something that is, I think, on the forefront of beginning of next year. It is coming into force. The big thing that we are trying to, well, let's say, tackle is travel rule, which is actually totally opposite from what crypto should be. Travel rule means you need to identify all the involved parties in the transaction to know, who is sending to whom, and the virtual assets service providers should exchange this information between them. So, it is more or less how SWIFT is working currently. So, and the crypto is based on something totally different.
Yes.
So we are more or less, streamlined in the traditional finance. Of course, crypto by itself is remaining the same path, but virtual assets service providers are more or less guided into this heavily regulated area.
So between, if you could make a comparison, because probably there are many people from the traditional banking, how would you compare reporting, KYT, and so on, between traditional banking and crypto? Yeah,
I think that it is more or less copy-paste. What Emilija mentioned at the beginning was is regulation following technology, or technology is following. And I think this is the pity that we somehow, narrowed down the technology and beauty of it with regulations, and not by regulating it, but by not embracing what it can give. And I will give a simple example. As we all know, I hope, the blockchain is totally open and transparent ledger. So every single transaction is visible, transparent, and every single transaction can track the funds from the very beginning, from the moment when they're mined. And in that sense, KYT policies, KYT rules can be very, very detailed. You can very easily know by using specific tools. For example, out of $100 that I transferred to you, $7 came from some wallet that was involved in human trafficking. 3 euros came from, I don't know, gambling. So these things are by default supported by the blockchain technology, while at the same time our regulations, what we are doing, we are collecting paper statements with stamps and so on. So I think this is the opportunity where regulation should really embrace the technology. And not actually limiting the what regulation wants to do, but actually improving it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an interesting moment. And okay, later on we'll explore what, in your opinion, is going to happen. But for now, I want to ask you, what is the most regulated crypto?
The most regulated crypto is Bitcoin, and rightly so. Bitcoin is the first and the truly decentralized cryptocurrency because of its fixed supply and decentralized nature. Bitcoin is quite possibly the greatest asset class in the world. For years, traditional investment funds and pension funds have lobbied the regulatory authority to legislate Bitcoin in order for them to have an exposure to this asset class and basically have it in their portfolio. As a result of this year, we've seen the Bitcoin ETF launching into the markets. Bitcoin ETF is the most successful ETF in the history. I believe next year, quite possibly, we are going to see some of the central banks announcing they hold Bitcoin in their portfolio, and it's going to be interesting to see things developing in the private sector when companies realize they need a digital asset department in order to stay ahead of their competition and have this asset class in their portfolio.
That's interesting, yeah. Yes, sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add the research that I mentioned at the beginning. Out of these all transactions that are correlated with illicit activities, more than 65% of those transactions are related to stable coins. So minority of it is related with Bitcoin and even Ethereum and other altcoins. Huge majority is done by stable coins, which is like, fiat or other stuff. Yeah.
Also, something that I would like to add when you talk about this different cryptocurrencies and especially Bitcoin. So from one side, you can see there's a lot of geopolitics that's included and why the Bitcoin is now so high after the presidential campaign that Trump had and everything that he mentioned he is going to do. One of the really big things was strategic reserves in Bitcoin. And we mentioned some of the companies. So we have the example of Michael Saylor, who took a lot of his part of the portfolio, invested into the Bitcoin, and now he has $6 billion into it. So basically what he did, he took credit from the banks and he invested in cryptocurrencies. And I think a lot of companies are now thinking in this way, and we have a lot of global funds that are also investing in crypto. But I need to mention that behind crypto is, as Bitcoin, if now we are talking about it, there's a lot of economical rules that are implied on how Bitcoin is developed. So you have the network effect, you have the effect of the adoption, but it's really important for me every time to emphasize when we have these topics, it's really important to do your own research. So I wouldn't advise anybody to invest in any cryptocurrency without doing their own research, looking at all of the economical, mathematician and everything else that goes into this investment like any other, because there's a lot of people who are going to hear this and they're going to ask you, they ask me all of the time, what should I invest in? What should I invest in? Nothing. If you don't have the time to spend, to sit at your computer and read about it, maybe you're not prepared for this kind of investments and trading, so don't do it. This is literally if you're trying to buy a house or you're trying to invest in any other asset, Bitcoin is the same. So yeah, it's doing pretty good, and probably it's going to go over 100K, but I can tell you right now it's also going to go down, because it's the volatility of the crypto that's connected to it. But when you take all of the companies, even Fortune 500s in the last 10 years, it's still the best investment opportunity there were, even better than gold in some volatility sections. So that was just for me.
That's, you're always very, you're like a guardian, you're cautious. And I was present at many of your talks, different around the topic. And I really appreciate that every time you are really warning everyone, and you speak about the importance of education, self-education. So this is really cool. So while you were having still the mic, you have awesome experiences in different markets, and I would like maybe for each one of you to spend a couple of minutes sharing them. For instance, Emilia, you in Singapore, the collaboration with the development of the regulations and collaboration with the regulators, how was it?
So we are working on a really specific project, so I need to emphasize that it's not a regular one. In general, Singapore is trying to be established as a Web3 hub, basically. So they are open for blockchain and crypto and innovations, and they have that monetary authority of Singapore, and that's basically an entity that defines everything else. So if you want to have a platform, if you want to do any kind of usage of crypto or a blockchain in like a financial instrument, there are a lot of frameworks, and that's something that Singapore is really good at, frameworks. So they give you guidance how to do it. I had a friend who called me a couple of days ago, and he was like, oh, how can I open a company in Singapore? Online, literally. You can go on the government website and you can open a company. Why are a lot of people doing that? Because of the taxes, of course. But then in a practical sense, the project that we are working on is the tokenization of Singapore Premier League football. Why? Because their football is terrible, and they know it, we know it. They have so many good ideas how to improve it, but like, I don't know if anybody looked at the statistic of Singapore football, it's really bad. And nobody wants to invest in it, and they had a couple of attempts how to tokenize the league, but they couldn't find the approach of it, and everything that they had in their budget, they spent on building so they have a lot of stadiums that are not used, so that's not a good idea, and everybody wants to have a private ownership in a football club. So what's the idea? If you also are shocker, people will do a lot of things for money. If you pay them enough, people are highly motivated, like even more if you offer them dynamic surroundings and stuff. So if you collect enough tokens, then as a Singapore Premier League, you can then have any footballer in the world, like Ronaldo is sitting in Saudi Arabia, Alexander Mitrovic, our guy is also sitting there, and the desert is not a nice place, but for 20 million it is. So it's all about the business in the end, and our cooperation is with the Ministry of Sports. So we are talking about securitized tokens, of course, in this case, and the development of it, it's good, but every single time when you are having a development of a business that includes some level of the government or something that needs to be adopted on a national level, it's a little bit slower. So that's why I said at the very beginning, we have a really good examples of really good jurisdictions, and just to mention there, actually Serbia was one of the pioneers. So next to Malta, Estonia and Switzerland, we were one of the first countries who had the law on digital assets, so that was a really good move.
True.
But now if I would ask you who has crypto here, maybe people would show hands, but because we are on tape, my next question would be who paid taxes on it, and I'm not sure how many hands would be in the air still, and that's the point of it. So we are trying to do it in a regulated way, but in the end of the day, it needs to be a good adoption. And just, I will be really short, also mention about the Web3 and our influence as Serbs. So I'm also famous for, I go everywhere and I talk about that we are Nebeski narod, and I truly believe it, because I really think that we have amazing scientists here, amazing programmers and engineers, and we just need the opportunity and clients. We don't need regulations and support and different incubators and mentors and strategists. We need clients. We need to try to do something and to be paid for it. So I think that's something that we are missing here. But also, just from our experience working around the globe, in every single company, Algorand, Cosmos, so all of these big companies, you have a Serb. You have somebody who came from here, and then you have Polygon with Mihailo Bijelic, who is one of the co-founders, one of the biggest companies. So really hope if anybody from the crowd succeeds, don't forget about your country and bring that business back here.
Oh, thank you so much. Milos, if I may, yes. You, ECD has a fame, you're like sort of heroes, because you went through the licensing process for the crypto stock exchange successfully. So could you please share a little bit your experience on that?
Yeah. Just before this panel, I was explaining that I spent like 15 years working in the bank. And I thought I ran away from regulation. 6 months after I joined ECD, new law on digital assets came into force, and I was one of the, let's say, key people who were involved in the process of licensing. It took us 1.5 years for the process to prove that we comply with what is asked. Generally, I mean, yeah, regulator is regulator. I never worked with, any international regulator, but I guess this is their job. This is how they need to work. What I can see is that we definitely see differences between working with central bank and working with Securities Commission. Securities Commission is, much faster, much more agile. Central bank, we never had a project approved in less than 6 months, and that's kind of, as I was mentioning earlier, slowing down the progress. Another thing that I wanted maybe to mention, let's say, because this might be the things that people are thinking when they work over the licensed crypto exchanges, that we, send data to tax authorities. As Emilia said, we need to pay. You need to pay taxes if you, let's say, have some capital gain. But this is not what we do. We never send data to tax authorities. We never send data anywhere else unless there is a court order where there was some fraudulent activity. So they are investigating fraudsters. So we help police and we help authorities to catch the bad guys. Yes. But we do not share any data. We do collaborate with tax authorities in sense that our customers are sending to tax authorities the documents that we issue. Yes. So tax authorities sometimes go back and ask us for some clarification and help in order how should they do something. But generally, we never initiate these things. And needless to say that even if you don't work over the licensed crypto exchange, you need to pay tax anyway.
Sure. Sure. Because we're really running short of time, because I would like to leave some place also for the questions. I believe there will be many. I will go maybe to the wrapping us up, and just like a couple of phrases, your thoughts, what the future is holding in this industry for us.
Blockchain technology and crypto industry are going to have a very impact on how we do business and how we organize even as a society. And I believe for every individual company and even society who doesn't adapt on what's coming, future is going to be very uncertain.
Okay, Emilia, yes, please.
I would agree with this, and I would also say that I would wish to, this is like more of the wish than what I think is going to happen really, to see more females in the field. Like now I can see 4 ladies in the audience, and that's really nice. And there's still a really big gap between males and females in Web3 industry also. And trust me, girls, it's an amazing industry to be in. Why? Because I'm in Web3 from 2017, but before that I was working in high manager positions in companies. And now, if you're a couple of years into the blockchain, you're an expert. And that's something that never happened before. So you're like an OG of the space, and it's just like a couple of years. And everything else that I did, you need like 20 years plus that you can even say that you think you're good at it, not even an expert. So trust me, there's a lot of opportunity here to grow, and I really hope that next year, if they invite us again and don't more ladies in the audience.
More ladies, please. This was awesome. Because I also used to work in the bank, and they're like, okay, you're not 20 years experience in the bank, you're not an expert. Anyways, yes, Milos.
Well, I have to use this opportunity. Majority of you, as you are here, probably know that this morning Bitcoin reached its all-time high. So Bitcoin or crypto is here to stay. It's not gonna vanish, as we know that is hundreds and hundreds of times it was proclaimed as dead. It's not gonna happen. Now, in terms of regulation, as I was mentioning earlier, I just hope that we're gonna start using technology in, let's say, in order to support what we need to regulate and, let's say, boost the efficiency of what we're doing now.
Thank you so much. We are so on time. We have space for a couple of questions. Be brave. It's a really unique opportunity. These people are really the experts in the field. They're the pioneers. So yes. Thank you.
We talked about CBDCs and Gary Gensler's recent kind of announcement and tweet. What is your view about like CBDC and crypto and how it should be regulated? Just overall, like what are the pros and cons? Just want to hear each of your expert kind of opinions. I think it's an interesting topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am very pro-crypto, and I'm very much against CBDCs. CBDCs, in majority of the world, are going to be used as a surveillance tool to track your payments, to track what do you do. Imagine a world where you go on a protest in an authoritarian country, and your government and central bank just press the button and freeze your assets. Just, in my opinion, hopefully we won't get to that stage. Buy Bitcoin and educate yourself. Do your own work. Buy Bitcoin, buy other cryptocurrency, as long as they are decentralized.
I could also share my experience. I just came back from Russia. We were invited there by Sberbank. They have their blockchain lab, and they're working on finding alternative ways of payments, because BRICS is in the making, but it's still not there, and digital ruble is not used that much. So they're still in the process of thinking what can they use. And yeah, so it's a country that's under sanctions, and that's a country that suffers a lot with all geopolitics that's happening. So I think I would agree with you on this one, and that brings us back to the beginning of the story. We need regulations, but that have sense. So even this law of ours, that we have law on digital assets, it is a question of how is it going to be united with the law of money in crypto markets that was given by the EU. If we go into the European Union and we are now part of that, then it's a question of are we need to make a new regulations like all over again, or maybe we need to make some make the existing one much better. I don't know. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I actually wanted to come back to what Milos said. Imagine the country where the government can press the button. Basically, I would say that we are currently in that in that area. We don't need CBDC for this, and yeah, if we have, don't need to imagine. But also, I would call you to see what Trump said on Bitcoin conference. He said, "No CBDC." You know, it's never going to happen. So I think whoever is pro crypto, yeah. Whoever is pro-crypto, I think it's not going to happen. Of course, all countries somehow want these things, but generally it's not crypto. It's totally something different. It's absolutely not crypto.
Thank you very much. And we have, it's a very united position on CBDC. We don't have a summer professor from, you know, to contrast you here. Okay, one more question. I think it would be nice to get. Everything is clear. If everything is, okay.
I heard that China's president is also thinking about, I don't know, I need to verify the news, but it was saying that he's going to have Bitcoin reserve fund as well. I think Russia is also trying, following Trump's announcement, to be faster than US. So what is your point of view and how do you think that will affect the Bitcoin price in both short and long-term perspective, the reserve? Thank you.
Everything Bitcoin stands for is Chinese government and Russian government stands against. Bitcoin is a truly decentralized crypto asset, which means that no centralized authority, such as government, organization, regardless of the size and power, can control it. When it comes to China, I don't think, I've got friends and colleagues in China, and they told me they are very, very much against crypto because it's going against their ideology, against authoritarian roots. In Russia, also got some friends, very big crypto community. Putin, I think, last year paid some when the sanctions came in, when the Europeans and Americans froze their assets in European and American banks, actually he was get paid for the oil in Bitcoin. So we will see.
Also, just to add, so now from the time that I was there, crypto mining is now legal in Russia. So that's like a big, that's like a big step ahead towards it, because, as I said, they're trying to find alternative ways. In the end of the day, when you just follow the money, probably that's going to like clarify a lot of questions.
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add.
No. Well, time is up, guys. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to our awesome panelists. It was incredible conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights and from the forefront, exactly. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for being here, and see you next year.